Jay, I just want you to know your video about the housing market with the increase for the people with a good credit score is really going viral. So let's look at some of the comments and then I want you to address them. So one person said, this will look like the 2008 bank crash all over. It's doubly bad that banks are crashing as we speak without poor loans written. She said, why do I have to pull up somebody else's bootstraps that ain't even trying to tie their shoes? You make bills, you should pay them, shouldn't come out of her pocket, period. What's your response to that?
All right, is this all the same person?
All the same person, yeah.
Okay, so this is the problem. We automatically always assume that because somebody doesn't have good credit, that they're not paying bills. That's just not true. You know what I'm saying? Like, credit, you have to understand credit. So somebody can be paying all of their bills on time, but have a higher utilization rate, and their credit score will be down. So that's crazy. If you have a car that you pay off and take that payment off your credit goes down. Because as we talked about, we'll get into it, it's about how you use it. It's a game. And the average American, not even black American, this American doesn't understand how the credit game works. That's crazy. They should be bouncing off the wall because you paid off something. Paying off something gives you a negative thing. That's why they'll say, if you pay off your credit card, don't close it because it's going to lower your score. So they still want you to keep it. I don't want to use that credit card anymore. Now I gotta use it or I gotta keep it because otherwise it's going to get a ding on my credit. So let's debunk the lie that whoever has bad credit or your credit's not showing good means that they're not paying their bills. It's a system to this. And so if you don't know the system or you think that everybody knows the system, then you don't know what's going on for real. Now, if you don't pay your bills, you shouldn't get anything. But it's so many people that are paying their bills. And then when people talk about cars, when you have a car, they do give you an option. If you have 3 ways you can get a car, only one that you have to have, and that's income. But if you don't have good credit, yes, you'll pay a higher interest rate, but you will leave with a car. If you have a certain amount of money every week that you're getting paid, $400 or $500 a week, you can get a car. You might not get the Mercedes, but you can get a car. If you if you have good credit, you might not need the down payment, but you still need the income, and that'll get you a lower interest rate. And then, and you'll do that. Great. You earned that because you have good credit. Fine. With a house, it's so much harder to leave with a house. And that's where the problem comes in that. They're literally just preventing people from getting it. When if they stayed in an apartment for 7 years or rented a house from somebody for 7 years and they actually have good rental history, paid their light bill, paid all their bills in that house, that's all they're going to be doing when they go and get the house from the bank. That's all they're going to be doing. If that history is there, stuff that's not on the credit now, the rental is, if you opt into it, they won't let them get the house. That doesn't determine that they're a bad person. They're not going to pay a bill. But speaking to a person who made 6 figures as a business owner, and they gave me hell buying my first house. Hell. I shouldn't. I know people who make $30,000. They would go and get a house with no problem because it was me. It didn't have anything to do with credit. I'm an entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur. They gave me hell buying a house. That's what happens, and that's what I want for our people to not have those issues when it's time to go buy a house. They'll go and let you get a cell phone. They'll go and let you get a car. These are things you don't need. I mean, you can use a car and a phone from a utilitarian space, but I think that people would trade the car and the phone for a place to live. But they make it almost impossible. And the reason why a car is not taking you to wealth, a cell phone is not taking you to wealth, but a house can actually, over time, take you and your family to wealth. And if you don't believe that they're making it harder for you to get that access to that wealth than it is just to get access to things, then that's a whole nother situation.
That's good. So somebody else said that they understand that a person may be paying their bills, like you mentioned, utilities, their light bill and their rent is paid, But they were like, what about the Macy's credit card bill that's in collections, the car that got repossessed because they couldn't afford it? He was like, what about that?
Those people shouldn't get it, But it's a lot of people who don't have that. And in that video, I spoke about my grandmother who never had a car, who never really shopped at the mall. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a lot of those people. I come from North New Jersey. We didn't go to the mall. We went downtown and shop. They have Jersey Gardens Mall now, but when I was growing up, that wasn't there. So we didn't go. The people from the hood didn't go to Short Hills Mall and Livingston Mall or Garden State Mall to shop, or Willowbrook Mall, and none of those nice malls that's in that circumference in those nice suburban areas. We went downtown north to shop. We didn't shop with credit cards. We just had cash, and we paid our, and people that paid their bills, people that lived in their houses for years, died renters, paid their bills all the time. So these people should have been sought after to be able to own a house. No, I am not saying that somebody who was just out here screwing off their bills should get a house. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they shouldn't make it just as hard, because that same person who had a Macy's charge off can get a car, long as they have a down payment. They'll charge them higher down payment, which is illegal, but they'll charge them a higher down payment, allow them to go ahead and get a car. They have buy here, pay here situations for them to get cars. Which and then the good ones report to the credit to help them go ahead. Okay, you can do this for a year or two, and then we'll get you squared away because you have car credit now. These things are real. Again, I am in no way saying if somebody just screwed off all their credit, not paying their bills, they should get something. It's more than enough people that are doing the right thing that are not getting the opportunity to have a house.
So a couple of people brought up about inflation and banks and the bank crash of 2008. And a gentleman said, with the inflation, people are having a hard time paying their bills as it is now. When you add more money, there will be more evictions. And he said, with more evictions will be a bank crash. He said, let's look at what they're trying to do and follow the money. Like, what do you say to that?
I think that, we got it misinformed. I mean, again, it's like this. And right now, today, as we speak and going into the month of May, inflation, we probably got one more hit. And that was done on purpose. This is to correct the market. Because of what happened in COVID, this wasn't the situation like with the bank crash in 2008. Because of what happened in COVID, they had already stopped building houses and slowed down on building. And then here come COVID. Now you can't build all over the country. And so having that low inventory, they had to do what they had to do. Now prices went crazy. And so adding that inflation is making people slow down so that they can catch up. They got one more in them maybe in a couple of weeks. If they don't do that, things are going to start trending downward from an inflation perspective. Yes, banks are failing. Banks been failing. That's because they're not running business properly. It has nothing to do with all. See, people are getting nervous and they're not running to throw their money into that bank. So they're not getting the same amount of deposits that they were getting. They didn't anticipate. Businesses fail all the time. We got to stop looking at banks like they're not businesses. Bank is a business. If you don't run your business, we keep anticipating our customer doing the thing and our customers switch up and we're not prepared for it. That's what happens to businesses. And these banks are no different. The day, like not too long after Signature Bank went down and the other one in New York, Signature Bank and the Silicon Valley Bank went down, weeks later, multiple banks went up. It's not taboo to put in for Goldman Sachs right now, JP Morgan and Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, any of these banks. That's a good buy right now on the stock market. Those are good buys. And all of them are coming off of their earnings right now. A lot of them haven't lost a lot. Some have, but some of the major ones are doing very well. Think about Goldman Sachs, the deal they just did with Apple, which is going to probably spark JP Chase and Morgan might collaborate with Microsoft and other major banks to collaborate with other tech giants to do other deals. People have alternative places to put their money now than banks. So Apple offering 4.4% on savings account. And so why would I give my money to the bank that's offering me 0.02%? on a savings account, these people have access to a whole lot more information than they ever had before in their life. And people are making decisions that don't include these banks, and they're not going to come up to the curb. They're going to move on. So I don't look at that as one thing doesn't affect the other. Now, yes, as a person that has good credit, I will be negatively affected. But I've heard so-called business owners that's talking about their real estate holdings. So why is your business in your personal name? I mean, why is your real estate holdings in your personal name? So that you can be affected like that negatively. What I'm saying is I just want the people who wouldn't otherwise have a chance to be in the game. Because in this country, home ownership long-term is one of the gateways to wealth in this country. And there's a lot of people just not getting the opportunity. Not because they are screwing off their credit, screwing off their bills. It's just they're not getting the opportunity. They don't have the knowledge. And I said it, that some of us are holding over their head, especially in my community. We might learn how to go out and get our own house and do all this other stuff, and then don't tell our brother or sister how to do it. So it's way more than that. It's a lot of this stuff. A lot of it is lack of education, but it is real issues that's preventing black and brown people and the have-nots from having opportunities and gateways to wealth. And if you don't believe that, then that's a whole nother conversation. And nothing I can say to make sense to you in this talk right now if you don't believe that.